right. Good morning, everybody. It is great to see you here. I'm excited to share a message with you. I'm going to put my phone in silent mode or something. Always that person who thinks they're funny texting me during my sermon. Anyways, I'm excited to be here to share a message of encouragement with you that I hope will help you to take your next step. You might be a little nervous today if you're in the room and you came in and you found one of these little cards sitting on your seat. If you're at home watching online, they'll be posting a link to something similar that you can interact with. But I don't want you to be nervous. You're like, here comes the sermon where I get guilted into doing something that I don't really want to do because Jesus died for me. And there's a volunteer card. So this card is literally to start a conversation. There's no commitments being asked for today, so you can just calm down. You can put it under your seat, and I'll explain how we'll interact with this at the end of the message. But before we talk about volunteering at church and how you can interact with us, I want to share with you a little bit today about how you can find meaning and significance and purpose in your life. And to do that, we're going to turn to 1 Peter chapter 4, and we're going to be reading verses 4 to 8. Now, in my Bible, when I turn to 1 Peter chapter 4, what it says at the top of the chapter is it actually says, let me see what it says here. It says, stewards of God's grace. This whole chapter is about being a steward of God's grace. And you may not know this, but the Bible teaches that all of us are stewards. And a steward is somebody who manages that which belongs to somebody else. So, in other words, the Bible teaches that the time that you have, the energy that you have, the resources, the relationships, the gifts, the talents, the opportunities in your work and in your family, all of those things are a gift from God, and we steward it, we manage it for this brief time that we are on this earth we call our lives. So we're stewards, and in this chapter, Peter's talking about how we steward the things that God has given us. Specifically here in verses 8 to 11 that we're going to read, he's talking about three key things that each of us must do to steward the grace of God, and these are three things that I believe will help us find and step into our purpose, which is kind of the theme of our message today. So let's go into 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. Here's what it says. Above all, keep loving one another. Everybody say loving one another. Okay, I just wanted you to make sure you didn't miss that. Keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing. Show hospitality. Everybody say show hospitality. Okay? Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. That's the hard part. I'm just going to say it. As each has received a gift, here's the third thing, use it. Everybody say use it. Okay? So we're supposed to love one another, we're supposed to show hospitality, and we're supposed to use our gifts to serve one another as good stewards of God's very grace. He goes on to explain a little further. He says, whoever speaks as one who speaks the oracles of God, whoever serves as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Let me pray for us, and we're going to jump into this. Father, today as we open up your word and as we ask the question, what are we here for? And we ask the question, how can we serve and love and show hospitality to those around us? Would you guide us by your grace and by your spirit? And we ask all this in Jesus' precious name. And everybody said, amen. Amen. Well, today's really Next Step Sunday, and not just because we're literally having Next Step after second service today. We're new people of the church, new families get to come and join us. But today, I actually want to talk about the theme, and this is the title of my sermon, Finding Your Purpose. Isn't that good? Who here wants to find their purpose? Who here wants to find their purpose? Okay, about 60% of the room. The rest, you're like, it doesn't really matter. But for those that care, I'm going to point you in the right direction today, how you can find your purpose. By the way, this is the sermon title that made it to you. There were a bunch that we threw out. So I thought maybe I'd share a few of those with you. Most of them were suggested by Jason, our worship director. One of them was from pew to do. It's like, yeah, that's pretty good. It's safe. I got another one here. Putting the us back in Jesus. Okay, all right. So you can see why we went with finding your purpose. Because when I think about purpose, I think about how God has created each and every one of us in a way. We all have unique gifts, strengths, talents, abilities, opportunities. Everyone's different, right? And finding our purpose is about finding the things that God has called us and made us for. And one of the things you say, well, how do I know if I found my purpose? Well, you found your purpose when you would do it for free. You know those things where it's like, I don't care if anybody pays me. This is my thing, and this is the thing I love. This is the thing that brings me life and helps others. And when you find that thing, it's amazing. Now, if you can find your purpose in your everyday work job, amazing. And all of us should find some purpose in our jobs. But then there are other things in life beyond the job that we do from 9 to 5, and how do we find purpose and significance through the things that we do? Finding your purpose is not always obvious, okay? Sometimes people walk through life, they get in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, and they're still going, what exactly am I meant to do? And they're struggling to figure out what that is. So as we think about it, I have some images that I'm going to show you. If you throw up the next slide for me. Got some images, and see, when it comes to purpose, the Creator always determines the purpose. Whoever makes something determines the purpose. Someone handed this to me this morning. You probably can't see it at the back, but it's this little funky tool, right? And what is this? And I had to phone a friend. Okay, I had to ask some help to figure out what this is. But you know, there are many things when the creator of this tool, somebody made this, when they made it with a specific purpose in mind. And when God made you, and when he made me, he made us with a specific purpose in mind. And part of our job in life is to discover what that is and to lean into it. Okay, does that make sense? So I thought it would be fun to play a little game with you. So we'll throw up the next one here. What is this for? And if you know, you can shout it out. I may not be able to hear you in the upper room, but anybody know what this is? It's ceramic. It's glazed on the outside, not glazed on the inside. Anybody know? Anybody? Throw up a hand, shout it out. Stumped everybody. Okay. If you're watching online, you can post it in the chat and show us how smart you are. Okay, look. This is for roasting a chicken. You stick the end of the chicken on top of this ceramic thing, you put it in a pot, you put it in the oven, and all the juice drips down, and you cook the chicken vertically. You didn't know that? Come on. All right. Let's see another one. See if somebody's going to get one of these. Does anybody know what this thing is? Yeah, I heard a couple of people, okay? This is actually for tightening the spokes on a bicycle. Right, and the numbers represent the diameter of the spokes, and so you put it on and you crank it. Okay, so see, the moment I tell you what the designer made it for, you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's totally useful. You need a tool for that, right? One last one. Let's see if anybody can get this one. Anybody know what this is? Yeah, it's a scissor clamp thing. Apparently, according to the interwebs, it is for clamping and cutting the umbilical cord. Which is why it's a stork, right? And so, yeah, it's amazing. Soon as you can take it down, you're making everyone nervous, okay? The moment you tell somebody, here's what something is for, they go, it makes sense. And I believe that there is, for each of us, when we discover the thing that God has made us for, and it's not like you were only made for one, like sometimes people think of God's will so specifically. It's like, hey, I have to marry Joe, the veterinarian in Saskatoon. It's like, no, I don't think that's the case. But I think when you begin to discover and use your gifts, your talents, your abilities to serve others, you begin to discover your purpose. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So here's the question. How do I find my purpose? This is the question. Okay, how do I? And if you're here and you're like, I really don't know what my purpose is, then the question is, how do you find it? And the answer to that question is probably, you're not going to think it's that helpful, but it is actually one step at a time. You find your purpose by taking steps in the direction of your purpose. You find your purpose by beginning to love others, by showing hospitality to others, by using the gifts and abilities and resources that you have to serve others for the glory of God. And when you begin to do those things, each step in that journey leads you towards your purpose. One of the other things that I think is so interesting about finding your purpose, often when somebody finds their purpose, they can often then connect the dots back to when they were a child. It's amazing, right? Like for me, when I was 4 years old, I used to walk around the house in a brown corduroy suit with my Bible, and I was like, I'm going to be a pastor. That's what I said when I was 4. Everyone thought it was funny. Now, 25, 30, a long time later, okay? Long time later, I'm a pastor, and I don't have the suit, okay? But it's amazing that, like, when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult, I was like, nah, no, I wouldn't do that. No, it's dumb. I wouldn't. And then here I am now, and I look back and like, it was so obvious. And so many of the times, people find their gifting, their calling, and someone will become like an event planner, and they go back, and they're 4 years old, and they had color-coded papers and crayons, and like they were, like it's amazing how the wiring that's in you from a child, you don't even recognize it, but it actually leads you to your purpose and calling. So I think that's cool. So let's quickly walk through our text today. And I'm just going to point at 3 very generic things that Peter says that we can do to find our purpose and calling. The first one, again, is found in verse 8, and it says, above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. So when we love other people, okay, we are taking a step towards our purpose. Because God has created us to love others. That's who God is. And when we begin to love others, we find our purpose in doing so. So the first thing that we need to do, and I got a little list here, okay, is love one another. We'll just fill in the blanks for you. Okay, first step, to love one another. Now, it's important, I don't have a lot of time for this, but Jesus distinguishes a particular kind of love. And when God speaks of his love for us, it is a agape love. It's a love that has no strings attached. And we all love each other with strings attached. We all love each other reciprocally, right? Like I do something for Russ, Russ does something for me, and we're showing love for one another. That's what we do for our families and our friends. I buy you a gift for your birthday, you buy me a gift for my birthday, and we're showing love. But Jesus talks to his disciples and he says, you know, if we give to those who give back to us, if we lend to those who pay us back, then like how are we any different than anyone else in the world? But he says, if you give expecting nothing in return. See, Jesus, like, if you can love with no strings attached, then you are sons and daughters of your Father and of the kingdom. And so he's pointing to another kind of love, a love that gives without strings attached, that is expecting nothing in return. That's very hard to do. But that's the kind of love that Peter's talking about, a love that covers multitude of sins, okay? So we're to love one another. The second thing we're to do is to show hospitality. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. Now, this word, hospitality, is used all throughout the New Testament, but the Greek word that's translated here is only used 3 times in the entire New Testament, and 2 of them are referring to elder requirements. So this is the only time in the Bible that this particular word is used in the original text, and the word is philoxenos, and it's 2 Greek words that are smashed together. One is friend, and the other one is stranger. And so when Peter's using this particular word, he's talking not about like hospitality, like I had all my friends over and I arranged the muffins beautifully, right? Hospitality. He's talking about showing care, kindness, compassion to people you don't know, to outsiders, to strangers, to foreigners, to people of other religions, to people who don't agree with you. That's what he's talking about in this text. He's talking about showing radical hospitality. I was watching a YouTube channel this week called Yes Theory, and there's these young guys that travel around the world and do all these, things. And on this one particular video, they went to Turkmenistan, which is not really a tourist destination, and it's just more recently been opened up because it was an authoritarian regime. And so they got in there, and they were literally driving around, this place is empty, and they see some people, and they're like, people, like Turkmenistanian people. And so they run over to talk to them, and it's a wedding, and they're getting their photos. And they're trying to talk to them through a translator, and the people at the wedding go, hey, why don't you come to our wedding reception? Awesome! So these guys are like, this is great. So they go to the wedding reception. Like, who gets invited to a wedding reception? People you've never met. That's what happens. So they show up at the wedding, and they're like, we've been waiting for you. And they bring them, and they sit them down at a table right beside the head table. And they're like, what do you need? And they're like, well, we'd love a drink of this. We'd love this. And they're like, anything you want. And they're just bringing them, serving them. And they're like, we're at somebody else's wedding. We've never experienced this before. Finally, these young guys get up, and they're giving a speech at these people's wedding. And then afterwards, they're talking to the translator who's from there, and they're like, we don't understand. And he says, you have to understand, in our culture, hospitality is so important. We have a saying, when you have a guest, you treat them better than your father. And they're like, oh, this isn't about us. This is about them. It's about what they value. And this is the idea here in this word, that we're to care for outsiders and care for those. And for me, this is so important because most churches, and I'm not knocking any other churches, right, because we got our own issues, but most churches forget about the people outside the doors. And it's so easy to love and care for the people in the row, the people you know and love. It's so easy to care for them, but we forget about the people outside the doors, the people walking the streets of our city. And honestly, it is so important for us if we're going to discover our purpose in God and accomplish our mission to really care for the people who are outside, to not make it about us. Does that make sense? In a lot of the churches that I went to as a kid, there was always this like special reserved parking for the pastor. There was like a sign and everything. Right at the front of the building was like, pastor's parking. And I used to park there sometimes and people would scowl at me. I wasn't the pastor at the time. But as I thought about it, I thought, if anybody put a sign up like that for me, I would knock it over with my own 2 hands. Because I'll park at the back on the grass. I want to make sure that our guests and people are coming for the first time. In fact, we're going to put guest parking right at the front as a show of hospitality, right? Some churches have a big, I was at a church recently for a ceremony, and there was a big wooden throne on the stage for the minister. And I was like, oh, that would be nice. I'm like, no, I don't want no throne. I will stand at the back. I'll give the good seats to the guests, right? This is an attitude of hospitality, and it's so easy for people to come to church and be like, where's my seat? Where's my thing? And it's about me and my family, and where are my friends? And instead of going, hey, who are the new people here that could be welcomed with hospitality? Does that make sense? Anyway, it's a heart thing, right? So show hospitality. Number 3 says this: as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another. Let's say use it. So whatever gift you have, you should use it. So some people have a gift, they're outgoing and friendly. They should use that to serve other people. Some people are really smart. They have high IQ. You should find a way to use that to serve other people. Some people don't have a high IQ. They have a high EQ. They're so good with people. They're so good with relationships. And you have to use whatever you have. You have time, you have money, you have resources, you have assets. Find a way to use it to serve one another, okay? That's what he says, to use your gift to serve one another. And he goes on to say this: according to the stewards of God's varied grace, each and every one of us has something unique to offer. And this is the most amazing thing. When you discover the fact that God has given you something that no one else has, then it's like, okay, how do I find a way to use what God has given me to serve others? Because I'm telling you, you will never find your purpose if all you're doing is thinking about yourself. You just won't. And the moment you begin to discover, what do I have that I can serve others with and glorify God with, it changes the game entirely. He goes on to say, whoever speaks is one who speaks the oracles of God. Whoever serves is one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that in everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. By the way, finding your purpose is for his glory, not yours. This is the best part. So you can discover what your gift is and make a lot of money. You can discover your gift and become really popular, and all of that's fine, right? That will happen. Your gift will bring you before kings if you're really good at what you do. But finding your purpose should be about his glory and not yours. That everything that we do for others is pointed back to him. This is the model. So this is where I'm going to transition to talk about our church and volunteering. If you're a guest, can I just say a couple things? Number one, if you're a guest, we don't want your money. We're not trying to get you to sign up for a volunteer role. We're just glad you're here. We hope that you've had a good experience and you're comfortable. And I'm going to tell you how you can utilize this card to give us some feedback at the end of the message. But if you're around here and you're like, I want to be part of this community, or I am engaged, and I want to talk about how I can be more engaged, then we want to interact with these cards in a moment. But first, I thought it'd be really fun to share with you 4 reasons why people don't want to volunteer. Who thinks that's fun? Okay, all right, a few of you. Okay, because here's the thing. I have been asked to volunteer at many churches. I've been asked to volunteer in different charities, on boards, and all these different ways. And I started to think, well, what are the reasons why I don't want to volunteer? And then maybe we can just talk about them. So here's the first one. The first reason why people don't want to volunteer is because they're asked out of desperation. Okay, I got a little picture here. A picture says 1,000 words, right? Come join our team. If you don't help us, the ship is going down. And let me tell you, if that's the case and you join the team, you're going down with the ship, okay? So many organizations are like, we're desperate. If you don't help, it's all going down. And again, everything inside you is going like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. So desperation is the first one. Okay, here's the second one, guilt. I know nobody here has ever experienced guilt around volunteering, right? So I got a little picture here. Again, it's just like, hey, you're capable. Why aren't you doing anything? You have kids. Why aren't you serving in the children's ministry? Hey, you could be doing this. Did you know that if you don't serve, people are going to go to hell? Just kind of let it hang for a little while, right? It's guilt. It's guilt. It's like, just want, It's kind of funny, but it's not, because I've experienced this, right? Jesus died for you. The least you could do is serve in the nursery. All right? It's like, okay, I guess. And so this is the thing. People, let me tell you, any decision made that's fueled by guilt, it'll work in the short term. It will not last. You will not find your purpose being motivated by guilt. Let me just say that. So as a church, we try really hard not to use that as a way to recruit people. Here's the third one, okay? It's this idea of being tricked into something. All right, you're asked to do one thing. It's like, hey, can you come help me? Oh, I'd love to come help. Surprise, you're in charge. Right? You're running the ministry. And so, we've got a little picture. By the way, we're offering free cheese. It's the bait and switch, right? It's like, oh, come and help once in a while. It's like, you're in charge of everything. And then here's the last one, and I'm sure we could come up with more, but these are fun. The fourth one is being trapped. Right? Did you know it's possible to get trapped in a volunteer role? Like, when I was a kid growing up, man, I saw this so many times. Somebody would get up on the stage and be like, there's nobody for the kids. We're closing down the children's ministry. And some Some poor soul would say, I'll do it. And this lady would go down into the basement of the church, and they lock the door. And 10 years later, this lady emerges. She looks 20 years older. It's really weird. And people are handing her a welcome package going like, hey, are you new around here? And it's like, right? The only way to get out is to burn out or to leave, right? I've literally met people, I've talked to people in our church who left their previous church because it was the only way to get out of a volunteer role. You're trapped. And so as I think about this, here I am. I'm not going to explain how this happened, but someone's like, hey, do you want to come for a ride with me? Sure. Oh, why am I getting the back seat? Wait, there's no door handle. You feel trapped. And so as I thought about these 4 things, I thought, well, like, literally, this is not how we want to recruit volunteers at this church. And so let's look at the opposite, okay? Instead of recruiting people out of desperation, we want to recruit you with mission. As a church, we are not sinking. We're not going to go under if you don't volunteer. We're on a mission to reach people far from God and see them become devoted followers of Jesus. We're going to keep doing it with or without you. We would love to have you on our team. We would love to have part. We believe that when you're on mission with us, serving others, loving Jesus, that you're going to find your purpose. And we'd love to do that together as a team. Sounds a little better, doesn't it? It's about mission. We're asking people to join us on a mission. We're not desperate, okay? Here's number 2. Passion instead of guilt. Hey, it's not like there are holes in our ministry and we want to stick you in a hole to plug our sinking boat. No, we want you to find your place of passion. We want to find the area that you're specifically gifted in, that you could serve in this church, that would change somebody's life, where you would find your purpose and everything gets better. What is it you're passionate about? And we'll actually try you in 2, 3, 4 volunteer roles to find the best fit for you. And here's something I keep saying to our staff team, because our staff are helping organize and distribute volunteers. Like, we are not plugging holes. People are not cogs in a machine. We're trying to help people find their calling, their purpose, their gifting, where they can thrive. My goal is that when you wake up on Sunday morning, you're excited to come to church and serve because it's a place of passion, it's a place of gifting. Not, oh no, I signed up. Now, you feel like you're in the back of the cop car. Okay, here's number 3. Tricked. People, again, it's like they sign up for one thing, they get shoved into another. For us, we've been working really hard as a staff team to define roles and make very clear expectations for every volunteer role. Because honestly, some of the roles in our church are leadership roles where you're managing people and having hard conversations, and you're like, who would want to do that? Well, there are people who are gifted and called that will step into that, and that's where they will thrive. And then there are people who just love to welcome people at the door, people who love to make coffee and serve. So there's finding the right fit, and so by providing clarity, we can help people do that. And here's number 4. Number 4 is, instead of feeling trapped, we want our volunteers to feel supported. And so we do that by having ongoing conversations like, is this working? Is there someone else you'd like to serve? Is there something else we can do? And helping to move people. One of the things that we're going to be doing, so these volunteer cards, if you fill one out and you indicate an area or 2 of interest, we won't sign you up and put you in a team. We'll actually have you do what we call a test drive, where you actually get to spend 2 or 3 Sundays serving alongside a team, and then you get to give the leader feedback. Hey, I love this. Put me on the team, or I'd like to try something else. This doesn't feel right yet. And so we're just going to keep moving people around, trying things out. Once you're like, this is my spot, then we'll sign you up and join you to a team. And all of this is in an effort to do that. Is any of this making sense to everybody? Yeah? All right. Okay, so let me give one last analogy before I explain the cards, and we're going to show you a real cool video. I've got these buckets. Some of you may have seen them before. We've got an A bucket. We've got a B bucket. And you've already guessed, we got a C bucket. Let me make sure can you guys all see those? Okay. Yeah, is that better? Some of you are like, this is going to bother me. The illustration's wrong. Okay. A, B, oh no. This is the problem. Our C bucket is empty. I'm kidding. Okay. So when we think about volunteers, when we think about people in the church, we've talked about this before. We use this model of A, B, C. Can I explain what they mean? The A bucket, this is Sunday attendance. Everyone who attends our church on Sunday is part of the A bucket. I got all kinds of colorful balls. You guys are all unique. You're snowflakes. Your mom told you. Here it is, okay? So each of us is unique. So we got all these balls in here. Now, the thing is that in order to have Sunday happen, in order to have people come and experience church and have their kids in care and park their cars and all that stuff, you have to have some people who are serving in the B bucket. And B bucket are volunteers. So I'm moving some people over here. So now our church has some volunteers. These are people who are serving. They're contributing. Maybe they're giving in the offering. Maybe they're signed up to be on a team. They're contributing and making things better for others. So we're moving some people over here. Now, the C bucket, you're like, what's about the C bucket? The C bucket are leaders. They're volunteer leaders. And volunteer leaders are people that help lean into, manage, and care for the volunteers. And the truth of the matter is that if you don't have some people in the C bucket, you can't maintain a strong team of B bucket volunteers who are contributing and discovering their gifts. And then you can't have people coming to church and being served and loved. This makes sense, right? And so if we were talking ratios and numbers, for every 25 guests that show up on a Sunday, 20 to 25 guests, you need 5 volunteers on a roster. And for every 5 volunteers, you need 1 leader. That's the ratio. I don't know why. It just doesn't work otherwise. If you have 200 volunteers and no leaders to lead them, it falls apart, right? And if you have 500 people showing up on Sunday, which we do, and you don't have enough volunteers, then all of a sudden there's kids wandering the halls and cars parked on trees. I don't know, whatever. It goes bad. You get the idea. So the idea is, as we're talking about this card, there's 2 different things going on. Number one, if you're attending and you're like, hey, I need to contribute, I need to serve, I want to find a team, I want to find my place, then we would love to have a conversation with you on these cards about how to move into the B bucket. At the same time, there are many people who are currently part of our volunteer teams who are serving, and some of you, just a handful, need to go, hey, I love what I'm doing, but I should probably be leading others. Maybe that's where God's calling me to be. I should be leading a team. I should be doing more. And so a few people move over here. For every one that moves here, it adds 5 more here, adds 20 to 25 here. You understand? So one person stepping into leadership can impact like 100 people over here. That's how this whole thing works. So I wanted to talk about that. So as we think about this cards, everybody hold up the card. Let me explain it, and then I'm going to show you a video. Okay, on the card, we have 3 simple things. We have name, email, phone number, okay? We took off date of birth and bank card and all that stuff. We just took it right off. Okay, so we just have some simple information so that we can contact you. Underneath, there's 3 check boxes. One says, I'm already volunteering and would like to continue in my role. If you're serving in our church and you love what you're doing, you just tick that top box, flip over the card, and write why you love serving, or talk about your team that you're serving with, something that'll encourage other people, so that you can do that as a way to interact with this card. The second thing is, if you are interested in exploring other ways to serve, you're currently volunteering and you want to test drive another department, awesome. Nobody's going to be offended. You don't have to burn out to get out. Just click that box and say, I'm interested in trying Path with Kids, or I'm interested in the parking team. And if you tick that, then someone will follow up with you. And then lastly, if you want to begin serving, you're not currently on a team, and you can tick that box. You're not committing. What'll happen in the next week, someone from our staff will call you, have a conversation, find out what you love to do, talk about your gifts, talents, and offer you an opportunity to test drive. Is this making sense? If you're a guest with us today, here's what you can do. You can write your name or not, but on the back, if you could just write about your experience with us, that would be super helpful, and we encourage our volunteer teams who are here to serve you. So if you want to do that, that way everyone can interact. Before we fill out the cards, though, we've got a really cool video that we filmed with 3 of our volunteers, because it's one thing for me to talk about how you can find your purpose through serving others. I think it's pretty cool to hear people who have actually done that here in our church, so check it out.
Hi guys, my name is Eric Fintelman.
Hey, I'm Sarah. Hi, I'm Santina.
You've probably seen me a little bit up on stage leading worship and kind of singing my heart out, because that's sort of what I love to do.
I get the privilege of hanging out with the youth, specifically the grade 11, 12 girls.
There was a call out in the church for help with the cafe.
We talk about everything from life and God and all the things between.
From the first minute that I got involved with the church, it's been just really fun for me to be able to use what I do in my day-to-day and use that for the church in a way that's actually helpful and beneficial.
Is just a small piece of like seeing how God's moving.
I had all the reasons not to be a youth leader, but God had other plans.
I've gone to churches in the past where I've tried to stay back and stay uninvolved because I've thought, oh, I don't think there's a need there.
It is a way to make people feel welcome in the church.
I was really hesitant to become a youth leader because I felt perhaps irrelevant to them. I am quite a bit older than a lot of the other youth leaders, but if you go with a willing heart, you're just the tool that God uses in their lives.
I love music. I love singing. I love performing. I love playing, and I love worshiping. And when those things kind of come together for me, it's beautiful. It's what God, I know that at the end of the day, it's what God created me to be and what God created me to do.
It doesn't seem like I'm doing anything extraordinary, but it just is. I'm giving in a way that God gave me these gifts to serve and love on people. I have just felt so much joy, and it's been so fulfilling to serve in this way. And I can see God moving, and He's moving in my life through serving.
Serving the youth has taught me to pray boldly.
I've been so grateful for the community community of people that the band is together on Thursday nights, whether it's after practice on Thursday nights or early Sunday mornings. Sometimes it's band practice where you get together and you work on your chops and you work on, section by section musically. And other times we get there and we spend the first 20 minutes talking about kind of how hard this week has been and how we are going to take that into leading a congregation on Sunday. And that's just as important, just as valuable, and just as meaningful for me.
I encourage you, if you have thought about serving or you feel like God is speaking to you or moving in that way, you won't regret it. You'll find a place and God will put you where you need to be, and I promise you it will be so rewarding and you will see Him move.
How awesome is that? So, what's so cool about each of their stories is they just started somewhere. They just joined the band, joined the youth, joined the cafe team, Santina was saying, and then she was asked, like, hey, will you cook for 70 people at Alpha? And she's like, I would love it. And, at the end of 10 weeks of cooking for that many people, it's like, hey, Santina, like, are you exhausted? Or you never wanted? And she's like, I love this. This is my place. And she's just so excited to be part of it because she's found her place and her gifting. That's what we want for every single one of you. Today we got these cards. If you'll all grab them, there's a pencil and a card somewhere around you. Here's what we're going to do. If you're a guest with us, you can actually fill one of these cards out. You don't have to put your name and information if you don't want to, but on the back, you can just write down what your experience has been like with us. That'll be super helpful. That's feedback for us. If you're currently a volunteer and you've found your role and you love what you're doing, there's a box for that. I'm already serving and would love to continue in my role. That's the first one. Just flip it over and just write what you love about your role or your team. That would also be encouraging. If you're here today and you're not serving, there's a box for that. You can say, I want to start a conversation, okay? If somebody from our team calls you and says, okay, you're on this team, they'll be fired, okay? Because, I'm kidding. We seriously want to just start a conversation to go, what is it that God has called you to do? What are your interests? Let's try some things. We want to offer you an opportunity to test drive a department. There's also, I think that we've got them all. If you're currently a volunteer and you kind of feel stuck and you want to try something else, this is a really easy way. There's a box there that you can tick and you can just select something. And listen, our staff will not be sad if you're moving from their team to another team. We're all on one team. We want you to be in the right place. We're not plugging holes. You're not a cog in the machine. If we find your right place, you will do what God has called you to do, and God's kingdom will flourish, even if it's not in this church. So we want to help you get there. So that happens through conversation and through tests. I'm going to get you to fill these cards out now. There is a little thing on the bottom that says other. If there's something that's not on this list that you feel like you could contribute, we would love to hear about it, have a conversation. We have people who come and cut the grass and plant flowers and do all kinds of things that are really helpful that aren't on this list. So if you think of one of those, please write it down. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. We've got some music playing. Isn't that nice? So take a minute and fill that card out. Just name, email, and phone number is really helpful so we can contact you. We took off the bank information and birth dates and all that off the card. So go ahead and fill that out. All right. Well, you can take the next minute or so to continue to fill out. I do want to dismiss things. Thank you guys all for being here with us today. It's so great. Next week we're going to start a new message series. Also next week we're going to start showing some of the baptisms from the alternate service from last week. So I know because we have two services, some of you haven't seen some of those stories. So we're going to share those with you in the coming weeks. So thank you all for being here. You can take those cards, fold them up, and our volunteers have baskets at the doors leaving both the auditorium, and for those of you in the upper room, there'll be someone with a basket. throw those cards in there, and we'd love to start a conversation so we can help you find your purpose. So thanks, guys, for being here. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.